Hello, everybody. So, surprise. Um, Keith has left the flat for a while. I don't know how long he'll be gone, but I figured it'd be long enough for me to upload the vlog and let you guys know kind of what was going on and all that stuff. Um, Sorry I didn't upload anything yesterday. But I ended up, um, well, it was kind of a rainy day. It was kind of one of those weird days where, like, the sun would shine, and then it would rain, and then the sun would shine, and then it would rain. But, I had decided to go to the grocery store. We had a Sainsbury's. It's not too terribly far from where we live, so I took my laundry bag with me. And I've done this. This is like the second time I've done this, so it was kind of fun. Got to walk through town. It's on the same street that we live on. It's just a little bit further on down the road and across a couple of intersections. So, which, it's kind of fun. And also, I did want to show you guys. I got my birthday present from my parents. I got a card, of course. And I told my parents, since American gift cards aren't usually able to be used over here, I said, I'm trying to re expand my library, and I used to read a lot of Agatha Christie books. So she got me two of them, The Man in the Brown Suit and Five Little Pigs. So, and I don't think I've really read either one of these before, so that was kind of fun. But the also really cool thing was when I opened the card, um, it had $20 in it. So I was like, ooh, because there's a couple ways to like change money over here. I could either go to my bank, or as I decided to do, there's a post office right in the same little shopping area as the grocery store I normally go to. So I was like, hey, let's go. Let's go into the post office. Could you just get in the line and got the money changed and everything, and it's tucked away in my wallet. I haven't gone to the bank yet, but that's okay. I can always wait until next week. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. Um, Also, I wanted to expand a little bit on the short that I posted the other day about Little Nightmares. Now, I know that the company who made the first two games um aren't making those games anymore, that it's now up to Supermassive. And they did Little Nightmares 3, which came out recently, which I haven't had a chance to see anybody play yet. I've heard weird things about it, that it's not as good as the first two, which, I mean, kind of makes sense because they're made by a different company, and all that, and which is probably why they didn't want to mess with doing something with mono or six or the lady or anything like that. So they went with completely new characters. But I did like, because I have listened to, I believe, all of The Sound of Nightmare, which is a podcast that was on like about a year or so ago. I think it was a year ago. Um, where because one of the last bosses that you fight, and spoilers here, I have seen clips. Um, so apparently, Otto, the psychiatrist who was helping Noom, um, finally did make it into the nowhere. And so, but yeah, so I found that kind of interesting because, like I said, I did listen to those podcasts and everything, and those were pretty cool. And it was kind of neat that they had people like Terrico and um, just George, I think, um, help participate in the episodes and everything. I thought that was kind of cool. Um, but yeah, I I got stuck watching some I'm gonna say this wrong, but animatics, um, which is like little stories that people have drawn out and edited to look like a movie, um, about Six in Mono, and that made me start thinking because, it, in my opinion, and again, this is spoilers for Little Nightmares 2, Little Nightmares 1, whatever. But, so my opinion on what happened and if Charter Shade Studios had held on to their Little Nightmares um thing, if they hadn't sold it to Supermassive or given it to Supermassive, I'm not exactly sure what happened there. But they basically gave the rights to Supermassive so they could continue to make the Little Nightmares games. Um, but what I find, really, if you think about it, because, we find out a Little Nightmares 2 that, um, Little Nightmares 2, or The Adventures of Six Mono, take place before Six goes to the mall. And so, my opinion is, and now I could be wrong on this, could very well be wrong, because I have no idea, I have no connection to anybody at Tarjay Studios, so I have no idea if they, what their purpose, what their intention was, or if they were actually planning on making a third Little Nightmares game that continued that story, or if it was always going to be a different story, you know. And yeah, I remember watching some of the trailers and people going, Six is in the mirror. And, when mirror, they always showed with the shadows swirling around them, people were always like, Six is gonna come out of the mirror. And it's like, maybe? But that didn't end up happening because it wasn't the Six story. and it was a mono story. But my personal belief is that, and I don't know if we'll eventually get a game based on this, but my personal belief is that because Six, after dropping Mono, after realizing who he was, because she saw his face, and like I remember, her dropping him and then going through the portal and coming out through the TV, and then her shadow shows up, or her soul. Now, I kind of have two potential theories. Is she's going to the mall, but did she know at the time that the lady was there? Because here's my thought process. And again, I haven't read the comics or anything. I probably should at some point. But according to what I keep getting told, it's like they're not considered canon. So I don't know if like I need to read them. Um but yeah, there's definitely a potential of new information to learn then. And I know in some of the comics they talk about other characters besides Six and Mono. Um, but yeah, I just find, I don't know. My personal belief, and I know I've started to say this a few times, I apologize. My personal belief is that Six didn't drop Mono to kill him, or she didn't think it would kill him. I I don't know. I don't know. She knew that the Thin Man was Mono. Obviously. Obviously, it's implied. I mean, maybe not implied, but that's kind of what a few people got. Is that she, at least once she saw his face without the paper bag, she was like, "You turned into him," and because he, did whatever, caused her to turn into a monster, basically herself. That she was like, and of course, also keep in mind, she didn't have a soul at this time. Because when the Thin Man ripped her out, her soul was left behind, so she didn't have a soul. So at the end, her soul shows up. At least I'm assuming it's her soul. You guys can let me know if it's been proven that it's not, but my honest opinion is that Shadow 6 is Six's soul. They got ripped out of her when she got yoinked by the tall man. And so she basically is like, I just had a blank moment. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so her soul got left behind, and Like, I do find it funny, because if you watch in Little Nightmares 2, Six of Soul leads Mono to the tower, the signal tower. And so part of Six apparently knows or still trusts Mono. And, I'm always of the opinion that kids can be cruel, kids can be selfish and all that, but kids can also be a bit more, in tune to things spiritually or psychically than adults, because they're younger, they're more open to weird experiences, and they're more apt to react as either this is really scary, get me out of here, or oh, you're so and so, whatever. So I'm trying not to say that again, but my belief as how the timeline goes is Mono and Six have their adventures. Somewhere along the line, Six realizes that Mono is going to grow up to be the Thin Man and decides to drop him, whether or not she thinks, and there's two options. Either she thinks that dropping him from that high of a height will kill him, and then there'll be no more tall man, not realizing that he turns into the tall man after being dropped. Or the thin man, sorry. The tall man. But yeah, so either she doesn't realize that what she does causes the thing to happen, or somehow, and this part I'm not entirely sure about because I'm not really sure how she would know, but my personal hope and belief is that she knows that dropping him down won't kill him, and she's coming back for him. Because think about it, she's probably realized she wasn't powerful enough to save him from turning into the Thin Man by herself. And she probably also realized that she needed a soul in order to do that, and she didn't have her soul. Now, that does bring up kind of an interesting question. How come her soul didn't just merge back with her? Unless there's something about the nowhere that makes that really hard or impossible to do. But she gets out, her shadow six, her soul appears to her, and is like, you need to go here, while looking at the maw. And then she gets her first hunger pangs, which I always found that interesting too. Because she's a little kid. You would think she would get more hungry. You think she would get more hungry being a small child. But throughout all of Little Nightmares 2, we don't see her being hungry. We don't see her needing food. It's not until after her soul is expelled from her body that she because that she gets hungry. So I don't know. Like, I guess my thought process is like, why? Like, and there's still questions. There's still questions that I have. But I honestly think for part of it, I mean, maybe we'll find out in a future game. Maybe at some point, Supermassive will come back and say, okay, we've done research. We think we know the progress, the turn of events. Now we're going to work on making a good Mono and 6 game. Maybe. I don't know. But either way, and then the other thing that I find really interesting is I got curious. I went on AO3, which is the fanfiction site I like to write on occasionally. And with that site, I found I couldn't find, like, I looked through a few pages and I couldn't find any pages, any fanfics that dealt with 6 going back for Mono. And I'm like, interesting. So I don't know if that leads me to believe that more people think, oh, 6 is just evil, she dropped him, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, y'all don't, I mean, I don't mean to say y'all don't, that was probably the wrong way to word that, but number one, 6 had her, from what I assume, her soul ripped out of her body, so she doesn't have that guiding compass that, who, because normally when we think of a soul, we think of like a moral compass, kind of like something that tells us, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this, or, maybe we should be nice to this person, or whatever. And it just kind of blows my mind a little bit. But anyway, as I was saying, I think that, um, I think that either she, like, I don't think she thought that her dropping him would kill him. I don't think so. Like, she put him in a safe location, got directed toward the mall. Because think about it, she doesn't have a soul, and for some reason, her soul cannot or won't come back in and be a part of her body, be one with her body. So, she's like, I need a soul. So, and that kind of assumes that she knows about the lady. Like, I don't know if she's been, and like I said, I think in the comics it shows her taken to the mall, but I don't know if that's like in between, like how she gets to the mall. If the ferryman finds her and is like, come on, I know why you're here, I'll take you to where you need to be. I don't know, you know. Honestly, like I said, I should probably read the comics at some point. But on the other hand, I'm like, So, my opinion is she goes to the mall because she realizes she needs to fill that hole in her. She needs the power, and just her soul won't do the trick. Her just her soul would make her human again. But if she takes out the lady, I mean, we've all seen the end of Little Nightmares 1, where she walks through the main dining area and sucks up the souls or the life essence or whatever it is of all the people. And then she goes up and waits. So, my opinion is she's either waiting for the ferryman to come back, because you don't see the ferryman in Little Nightmares 1, so I assume he rode back off and was like, I'll come back and get you once it's done, or whatever. So, I just find that interesting. Like, she knew she had to be more powerful in order to save Mono, in order to make things right, to stop what was happening at the signal tower. So, my opinion is now that she's got all that power and energy inside of her, she's gonna go back and try to save Mono. Will we ever get a game like that? I don't know. You know, it's like I'm not 100% sure if we'll ever get a game like that, but that would be cool. I'm almost positive. Like I said, there's still a little bit of doubt in there. There's a little bit of, I'm not sure. But, I don't know. I just happened to think about that. Well, I'll tell you what got me on it was I do watch a channel called not press hard to continue, press start to laugh. And this guy does a lot of videos of what if this character talked in this game, you know. And he's done videos on Little Nightmares 2, and he had posted the other day the finale of What If Mono and Six talked in Little Nightmares 2. And I thought it was really interesting because it showed, like, after, again, spoilers, after Mono breaks Monster Six's music box, and, like, the person who played Six and apparently young Mono was this man's kids, which I thought was incredibly clever and very fun. But I thought it was interesting. 'Cause like after Mono saves Six, turns her back into normal Six. Although keep in mind that at this point she doesn't have soul. But she's like, I thought that was interesting. The part where they're running from the wall of eyes and flesh that's coming at them. um, Six was telling Mono, she was like, the Thin Man told me everything. He told me, and of course, he didn't come out and say, which always kind of drives me crazy in like movies and stuff. Cause like earlier when the Thin Man is trying to talk to Bono and it's like I need to keep her with me, and Bono's going, ew, that's creepy, and it's like, no, you don't understand. If I don't keep her with me, she'll drop us, and she'll make you turn into me. Um, like there was a point where I was wanting to yell at the screen, just tell him. Just tell him what's going on. Tell him what'll happen. So, but then of course if that happened, then we wouldn't get that epic battle that we have and all that. But anyway, so the two of them are running, and they reach that moment where Six is on the ledge, and Mono is jumping, and she catches him, and she looks at him. Well, keep in mind the normal game, they don't talk. Neither one of them talk, so it's like we have no idea what's going on. We have no idea if they said anything to each other or if it was just all, I know who you are, I know who you'll turn to be, and I can't let that happen. Bye! Or if it was more selfish, or if it was, whatever. Or even if it was just revenge, like, you broke my music box, you broke me. I had the one thing that made me happy, and you broke it and took it away from me. You know. But I did like how the voice actors did it. The little one who played Six was like, I can't take you with me. You need, I can't let let it happen. I can't let you turn into him. And then she drops him. And what I really liked about that is at the very end, when Mono goes and sits in the chair and he starts going through the. There's a bug in here. Anyway. And when Mono is like growing up, becoming the Thin Man, it goes from his son's voice, the young voice, into all he can say is, it's all her fault. It's all her fault. And then it morphs into the adult voices. It's all her fault. And it's like, oh, I have chills. But yes, so, I don't know. I just thought that was good. I liked that. I thought it was very interesting. But in my opinion, either two options. Either she dropped him because she thought it would stop him from turning into the Thin Man, because she thought killing him would be a mercy and that way he wouldn't turn into, you know. Or she knew he would be safe. Because, come on, Like, it's very hard to miss you being chased by a soft wall of flesh. And she could have been thinking in her brain, okay, I don't think they'll let anything happen to him. You know, it's like there were no mouths in that wall of flesh. There were no just eyes and skin or guts or whatever. So she might have been. And what I'm personally believing is that she let him go, knowing that they would soften his fall and that he would be safe there and that she could go get bulked up on power and then come back and save him. That's my opinion, is that she's planning on returning. Now, like I said, will we ever get a game like that? I don't know. I don't know if Supermassive would ever tackle anything like that. Especially considering that their first Little Nightmares game did not have anything to do with 6 and Mono at all. But I can also understand why they wouldn't, because that's a big thing. If they mess that up, ooh, yeah. Can we just say the fandom would probably not be very happy? And apparently it turns out the fandom is not very happy with Little Nightmares 3, as it is. Or at least from what I've heard. I've only really watched one video where I've had the creator kind of go through his problems with the game, and like, I don't really get it, but then of course I haven't played the game, so it's like, I don't know. Like, I thought the story was interesting, and I kind of liked the imaginary friend aspect, you know? I kind of liked that, but then, of course, I was the kind of child who had imaginary friends growing up and had people I would talk to and stuff like that. And so, but yeah. Like I said, I don't know if we'll ever get a game like that, but I'm willing to betcha that 6 is like, you stay here, I'm gonna go get powered up, I'll come back and we'll stop this, you know. Like, she realized she didn't have a soul, she didn't even have that power in herself, so she was probably like, yeah, I need to build up my power levels, so she had her adventure, took the lady's life essence and all the guests and everything, and then was like casually strolled outside and waited for her ride, waited for the ferryman to come back or the next boat to arrive with the next guest. And like I said, I honestly believe that she, maybe not in the game, but in the story, I honestly believe that she's meant to go back and try to rescue Mono. Now, will she be successful? I don't know. I mean, it is called Little Nightmares, and none of the games have really ended that great. to begin with, you know. But on the other hand, both Six and Mono are still alive. So, yeah. So, anyway, that's my thought process. If you guys have a different opinion, or if you guys agree with me, whatever, you can leave me a comment, you can let me know. Um, Last thing, I don't know when I'll be able to post another gameplay footage for you guys. It's the 24th. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 days until the 1st November. So I think we'll probably have to wait until November at least. Um, but I will try to keep you guys updated. I will try to let you guys know um if anything changes. But yeah, so like I said, Keith left for a little while. He was gonna go run some errands, do some stuff, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'll perfect opportunity for me to make a video for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed. It's just thoughts from my head. Like I said, also keep in mind I've never played any of the games, but I have seen a few people play both Little Nightmares 1 and Little Nightmares 2. So I think I have an idea of what might be going on, but again, I'm not 100%. So let me know if I got anything wrong in the comments. If you guys feel like it, if not, no big deal. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Hang in there, stay safe, um, watch out for each other, and yeah, I love you guys, and I miss you so much. Not getting to talk to you as often as we normally do, so hopefully that'll end in about 7 days. So, in the meantime, have a great weekend. I will talk to you later.